Just a very quick look into integrated scheduling in WebFOCUS. So actually, WebFOCUS offers you a bunch of functionality in scheduling reports. On one side, there's the trigger that starts the execution of a report, which might be a simple time-driven event like start a report every Monday morning. But you can also set up event-driven report, which means I'm going to create a alerting condition that triggers the report, like the leftover budget for a certain period drops below a certain amount of euro, or a certain more complex condition is true. In addition, you can also create manual or external triggers, which means any kind of external application like the ETL flow that loads the data warehouse is going to be able to trigger a report execution. The report execution itself isn't depending on the alerting condition or the trigger. You can build or create or use any report you want to and have that report distributed within that job. And even the target for the scheduling is very flexible in here. So you could schedule reports to be distributed via email. You could distribute reports into our internal document management system. So it's going to be part of the WebFOCUS report repository. You can send or upload those reports via FTP or secure FTP. You could send it to an internal network printer, or you could upload reports to a cloud bucket like an AWS S3 cloud bucket or different kind of cloud-based storage locations. If we want to look at my data, in case in here, I've got my little table, my little budget table. So I can set up budgets in here. So it's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. So currently the budget for all my products is everywhere, every budget information. So I've got enough budget left for certain product categories in my data. And that's going to be my, my alerting condition later on. So if we look at my data, the easiest way to do scheduling in here would be look at my revenue report in here. I could easily run reports. So I get my report, which is going to be real-time ad hoc running of reports, but I could also schedule my report via email. So the easiest way would be to schedule that report, and I can now set up the properties, like get a description here. I can determine where to send it. So I could send it to an email list, or I can just send it to a certain person. So I'm going to send it to myself on that system. Carbon copy, blind carbon copy. I can also determine if I want to send as an attachment or if I want to send it as an inline report, which means the report itself is going to be the body of the email. I can set up the system to run that report certain times. So I want that one to run daily at a certain time. So I want to run it daily at, let's stick with morning. So I'm going to go for 11. Sorry, wrong button. I want to stick with the time. I can define a bunch of parameters if needed, and I can get a notification in case the report fails for whatever reason. I can save my schedule, and that one is a very simple time-based schedule. It's saved, it's in the system. Whenever it runs, I'm gonna get a email. So it's in here. I can use it in here. I could publish it, so it means other people are going to see my schedule. I could also manually start my schedule, but it's automatically run at 11:40. So we just have to wait for it to complete. In addition, we could create reports that are based on an alert. So looking at my alert in here, that's a budgeting, or that's a condition. So if I want to base it on an alert, I can simply create my alert from within WebFOCUS. So I'm going to go for scheduling, and there's the scheduling. I'm going to go for the rest of the tools. I've got all my tools in here, so I can determine all my elements in here, and I can also determine an alert in here. Determine an alert is actually a two-process step. So process one is the check for the alert to be executed or not. If I go for that one, I can do and test for a file on the server, or I can create whatever WebFOCUS procedure that is needed. So if we look at that element, you're going to see I can check whatever database I want to check. So I'm going to go for my base up folder, and in that base up folder, I've got a bunch of different data sources I'm going to be able to use for. So actually in here, we want to go for the budget test, which is an Excel file in here, or actually I want to go for my budget element. So let me see where we stored my little budget. So I've got my elements in here. Let me quickly search for it. So I'm going to look for the scheduling condition. So there's my budget table in SQL Server. I'm going to pick up that one as a condition to check for. So in here, I've got my budget itself, which is the number. I've got the product category, so I'm going to add the product category, and I want that one to verify whenever a budget is below, let's say 1 million, I want to get alerted. So in here, I just take the budget in here, and I can tell the system whenever the budget, so the aggregated value of the budget is less than, I can in here pick a constant value. Let's take 1 million. Okay, run it and see the result of the report is 0, which means there's no result, which means the condition is false. Whenever that reports deliver anything, the condition is defined to be true, which means the alert case is true. Of course, you can do way more complex proving logic in here, or checking logic. Like you could do it based on an average. You could do a multi-step calculation, like calculate the average of transaction volume over the last 24 hours and compare it with the transaction volume over the last hour, and build way more complex logic in here. We're going to stick with that very simple thing in here. So put it in here. We've got that one. And the next thing we could do in here, we could define what's going to happen if the alert is true. If I want to do that, I can build a new report in here, but I could also pick up an existing report like my revenue report and have the system distribute that report whenever the condition is true. So that can be a PDF, whatever report. It doesn't have to be related to the budget, which it isn't in that case. And that's what I need. So we can save that alert. So that's the basic alert one. I'm going to keep that one. And that's all we need to do to define an alert. So having that alert could be also used by other people within my organization, and whoever has access to the same data can work with the data. So you can put all those elements wherever you want to in that element or in that structure in here, whatever is required. Here's my basic alert one. I can publish it, so it's going to be available for other people. And now another people, even if that person is not able to create an alert, can pick the alert and schedule that alert based on a simple email procedure or a more complex email procedure. So if I pick up one, I can now determine I want that one to be distributed, and I want it to be distributed to my email address, the alert. Take the same email address we used before. I can tell the system I want the report to be an attachment, zipped, and whatever, or I can just simply send it as an inline message. The only thing I have to look at is the recurrence. How often do I want to check? I want to do a check hourly every weekday. I want that to be checked in my scenario. So actually that's all we need. So we can save it. That's my alert schedule one. So that thing is going to be used every hour to check for the occurrence of that alert. So there's my alert schedule one. Of course, I can publish it. So it's going to check every hour for the status of that report. I could also run it manually, which means it's going to run the alert, and it's going to verify the alert. I can also look at the log file. So we're going to be able to look at the log file. We're going to see, hey, that orange condition means it was checked, but the alert condition isn't true, so nothing happened in here. So we can close it down again. And nothing is going to happen because currently budget is not going to change unless someone goes into the database, something uses my budget. So there's just $1,000 left for video production in my database. Of course, in real life, you wouldn't manually change the database. So here's my alert schedule 1. I could wait for it for the next runtime, or I run it manually just to be sure. So I started it manually so we don't have to wait for it. Look at the log file, look at the last log file. We're going to see, hey, it was executed, condition was deferred, was found to be true, and the email was distributed, and we get an email from the system that just created my basic alert 1, and it sent me that report as an inline message within my email. So a very easy, comfortable way to define your own reports. Of course, alerts can be more complex, like described in my, like I described before. So that basic alert was a very simple thing, but you could also use WebFOCUS programming language to determine way more complex alerting conditions to be checked for the execution of the report. And the next option here, doing the alerting capability, you could also use functionality of the WebFOCUS ReportCaster API to create your own, to create your own reports or to create your own schedules, not using the WebFOCUS interface. So in addition to the built-in reports, I created a very simple application in here that allows me just to select a certain recipient, select a few parameters, and create my own schedule from the system. You're going to see I created a new schedule just with one mouse click. And actually what it does, if I go over to my generated folder, it created a report in here. So if we look at the properties of that element, this thing was created right now. It's 11:51, and that was created today at 11:50. It was changed at 11:51 because I just created that report. And that one is a schedule that can be opened in the tool. So it's very easy to work with it, very easy to maintain, very easy to do because I don't have to use the WebFOCUS interface to create a schedule. So schedules could be done using an external interface, using capabilities, or using any kind of custom page. Anything you want to do to create your own report, not having the need to build something within the product interface. So you could use whatever interface you want to use and schedule your alerts as well. That's it for scheduling. For more into deep questions, feel free to contact me.